First and foremost, I'm gonna say all praises be to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Shai, Ba'ashem Kodash, double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the sincere elect, they're teaching the truth and faith with sincerity through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Shai. Alright, I saw this article online, man, and I found it really interesting and really inspiring, man, because it just this right here was clearly a sign to the times that we're in. We are in that time and season of war, right? This third world war, or this third world that's in the scriptures is gonna happen, man. And the Lord is putting pieces together, you know, all over this earth to truly make this a bloody conflict, man. Right? So it says, U.S. delivers largest ammunition shipment to Europe since the bombing of Yugoslavia in 1999, which was one of the miracles in which the beast caused fire to come from heaven, man. Right? You know, it says Ramstein Air Base in Germany has received around 100 containers of ammunition in the largest delivery ordinance to the U.S. forces in Europe since the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia in 1999. The U.S. Air Forces in Europe, Air Forces Africa said a variety of munitions rolled into Ramstein during the month of October. The delivery is intended to support NATO's European deterrence initiative and pump up the resources available to the U.S. Air Forces in Europe, which is absolutely a lie, right? You know, basically, Esau's philosophy that he's basically trying to push out into the world is a mutually assured destruction. So because we have so many weapons, you know, over the earth, and because we know the damage it can do, the more we have, the more we can stop war happening, because the effects of it, if it's being used, you know, will be horrible. Look, man, you guys don't understand that the Heavenly Father is moving your spirit, right, to get into that spirit of war, right? I believe this is Proverbs 21 or Proverbs 29. Okay, Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of the water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Right? So it's like, in terms of free will, right? You know, that actually doesn't exist. And like the leaders of America and Russia, right? The Lord is gonna move their spirits to heavily push forth war, and the people that are around them, man. You know, because essentially, speaking, although the main heat of the war will take place in the Middle East, right? The main Europe is also a key theater of war, because if they base themselves with weapons in Europe, they obviously ain't too far from where? From Russia, of course. You know, and I'm actually going to that. The theater, or the term theater used in warfare, is an area in which important military events occur or are progressing. A theater can include the entirety of an airspace, land and sea, an area that is or that may potentially become involved in war operations. Now, obviously, I remember that over the past couple of years, the I believe the Pentagon simulated the invasion in which would take place, which when this war comes to pass, they obviously know that when this war comes to pass, Russia will invade countries like Estonia, Latvia, Poland. That isn't too far, and what and send troops on down throughout Europe, man, getting closer to Germany and so on and so forth, man. So that being said, because they they are part of NATO, which NATO and EU make up the beast according to the scriptures. They obviously send ammunition over there, right? Because they obviously know that that place is a theater of war. Will be a theater of war. So let me go back to the article. Right? It says okay. The U.S. Air Forces in Europe, Air Forces Africa said that a variety of munitions rolled into Ramstein during the month of October. The delivery is intended to support NATO's European deterrence initiative and pump up the resources available to the U.S. Air Force in Europe. The Pentagon is aiming to improve the response time of the U.S. military by pre-positioning ammunition, fuel, and equipment to be able to provide a rapid response against threats made by aggressive actors, it said. Ramstein is the largest U.S. overseas airbase, a major airlift hub. So our main job is to get munitions where they need to be on time, right? Which those could include missiles. I'm not sure if it will include ICBMs, but I believe it will probably contain like smaller types of them, which could obviously travel a fair amount of distance, right? Yeah. Ramstein is the largest U.S. overseas airbase and a major airlift hub. So our main job is to get munitions where they need to be on time, right? It says these are real world munitions to fulfill real world objectives, and that real world objective is to have ammunition when this war is kicked off, man. That's the reason we are down loading these things, to make sure we have the capability to move to the fight forward if need be, right? So it's basically saying we're having it there so that when it comes time for them to be used, we will, have them available, right? It says back then, I'm gonna skip to the point, right? It says since the start of the Ukrainian conflict and the Crimea's reunification with Russia in 2014, NATO has deployed thousands of troops and heavy weaponry to the Baltic states, Poland, and southeastern Europe. Large-scale drills involving Western troops are taking place near the Russian border on a regular basis, right? So on the border of Russia, drills are taking place. So whilst they're on the border of Russia, just across the fence, they're actually uh, um, planning their plans and tactics on how they'd you know respond when this war is kicked off, right? So that clearly establishes the time period that we're in, man. This is Ecclesiastes 3, right? It says from 1, to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, right? If you skip to verse 8, it says a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Look, when you're in a time of peace, weapons aren't being like, you know, stockpiled and piled up. When you're in a time of war, on the other hand, you're trying to stockpile and pile up as much as you can, right? So we know, you know, according to the scriptures, that we're in a time period and season of war. This is Matthew 24:3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him, saying, tell us, well, when shall these things be, and when shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So basically, back then, his disciples asked him, yo, Lord, you know, when are these things gonna come to pass? And so what shall be a sign of your second return and the end of the world, meaning the end of the age of rulership of Esau? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and thou shalt deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you know be not troubled, for all these must have come to pass, but the end but the end is not yet. And you know, wars and rumors of wars are constantly happening. Now, even these weapons being stockpiled in Europe, close to Russia, is a rumor of war. Because why will people need to stockpile, right, these weapons if there isn't a potential war actually happening? So this essentially is a rumor of war, right? It says since the start of the Ukrainian conflict and the Crimea's reunification with Russia in 2014, NATO has deployed thousands of troops, heavy weaponry to the Baltic states, Poland, and southeastern Europe. Large-scale drills involving Western Europe troops are taking place near the Russian border on a regular basis, while NATO warships are patrolling the Black Sea on a rotational basis, never leaving the area unattended. So they're preparing for war so hard that they have troops who are constantly patrolling the Black Sea, man, never leaving that area. The U.S. led bloc explained its build up by the need to reassure its Eastern European allies in the light of what it calls Russia's aggressive behavior. Man, it isn't you stockpiling fucking ammunitions, right? Doing drills on the border of Russia and patrolling the Black Sea constantly, an act of aggression. Moscow has repeatedly denied claims that its expansionist plans and said that NATO's actions increase the risk of conflict and undermine security in Europe. And one day, somewhere down this line, man, this war will actually get started and kicked off. And guess what? It's a fire that isn't gonna come to an end until it's burnt out, which eventually is the destruction of the United States of America, which will be turned into a big desert land. Right? This is Revelations 11:4. Right? It says no, sorry, in 14 it says the second war was past, and behold, the third war cometh quickly. The first war was World War One. The second war was World War Two, and the third war was gonna be World War Three, right? And essentially, it's on its way, right? It's here, right? You know, we just obviously need it to get kicked off in its time, which prior to that, there's certain prophecies that have to be taking place. Before America is destroyed, the chip has to come to pass. Martial law, the economic crash. The time of trouble, which really, as the apostle said, it's like when this chip comes into play, things are gonna speed up, and a lot of these things will be happening in and around the same time. All these things and factors are just gonna make up what the time of trouble, which is prophesied in scriptures, man. This is Isaiah chapter 9:5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And this burning and fuel of fire is what ICBMs, man, right? Which he, stirred in their hearts to actually make. This is Isaiah 54:16. It says, "Behold, I've created the smith," which are these scientists. So basically, he's saying he stirred up their spirits, put it in their spirit, right, to basically create this ICBM. "Behold, I've created a smith that bloweth the coals of the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I've created to the waster to destroy," which is what the ICBM, because it's gonna waste this land completely, man. Right? Hey, man. So with that, I'm gonna say all praise be to Yahweh Shemel Shai, double honors, the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone. And with that, I'm gonna say shalom.